the bits in between the hits. The bits and the hits, right?
The bits and the hits.
The bits have to be as entertaining as the hits.
Down the rabbit, down the rabbit, down the rabbit hole. Down the rabbit, down the rabbit, down the rabbit hole.
Welcome to Bekx and the White Rabbit. Today we have a very special guest. The lovely Rebecca Lynn Howard is all the way from Nashville, here in Nashville, to talk to me a little bit about her life and her journey and all the crazy things that have happened to you over the years. You've had quite a life.
I think I've lived about 50 lifetimes in my life so far.
I think you've lived about 10 since I've known you.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah. So when was like the first time in life where you were like, holy shit, I can sing?
Well, I don't think I ever had a moment in life when I didn't want to sing. Apparently, according to my mom, I started singing when I was about 15 months old. I just always remember singing around the house. I grew up in a very musical family. I grew up singing in church. All my cousins, aunts, uncles, grandmothers, mom, dad, everybody sang.
Can Gran sing?
She can sing.
I didn't know that.
She's shy. She just won't sing.
The woman of many talents.
Yeah, but she sang in church the whole time I was growing up.
I didn't know that. I knew your dad was a really good singer.
Yeah.
And then I had no idea Gran was a singer too. So
Yeah.
I'll have to hound her about that.
Yeah, you should get her to
We should do a family
sing a
band.
little bit. Yeah, but she was always super supportive. Both my parents were. And I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be a singer. And I knew that I needed to go to Nashville to do that. But it wasn't really until I saw that video it was back in the day when the Nashville network was on TV. It was called TNN. And they would play music videos. And then eventually CMT came along. But earlier on, it was just the Nashville network. And I saw Reba McEntire's video for When Whoever's in New England.
I don't think I've ever heard that song. Is that bad?
Oh my gosh.
Are you going to shame me?
No.
Okay.
No. But we've got some catching up to do.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to do the deep dive on
Reba? Okay.
You got to go down the Reba rabbit hole for sure. But ever since then, it was just, I was deadlocked into that dream of going to Nashville and being a star. And then when I started, coming to Nashville and making connections, and it's really all just about networking. Any business is about meeting the right people who introduce you to the right people. And I was just very lucky to have met like the right people right away. That's not always the case, as you well know.
Yes. Sometimes the wrong people lead you to the right people.
But that's true. Right. So, I'm a big believer that all things are working out for your good, even the bad things.
100%.
So, but, I was very lucky and I got to meet a lot of really cool people. The first show I ever played in Nashville was at a restaurant called the Stockyard Restaurant. And it was a big famous.
Wait, we were there for a video shoot, weren't we?
Did we do something at the
They
Stockyard?
had like redone it, but it was like, I think it was
it's not the Stockyard anymore. But down in the basement was a lounge. It was like a bar called the Bullpen Lounge. And I eventually worked my way years later to be able to get in there. And they had a full band and got to sing with them and just play a bunch of covers. But the Stockyard, there was this little tiny corner stage and this guy named Curtis Green. And he was just dinner entertainment. He would just sit there and just sing a bunch of cover songs and funny songs and, just entertain people while they ate steak and lobster. Me and Mom, we rolled into town and we stayed at the at the Opryland Hotel.
And how old
by the
were
Grand
you?
Ole Opry. I was 10 years old.
10 years old.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yep. 10 years old. And we didn't know anybody here. We didn't know our way around. And that was way before GPS. So we had maps and wrote down directions and that whole thing. But we would talk to the bellboy and the concierge and just ask them, look, hey, we're trying to find places to sing. And back then it was a little easier because there were several places around town where you could do open mic nights and things like that. Even on the street, they had little pavilions set up, and you could,
They don't do that anymore.
No, they don't have that anymore. But I started there, and then several trips later would come down, and I met somebody who was like, hey, I want you to sing some demos for me.
At 10 years old?
That was about 12.
Okay.
So 12, 13, 14, I was singing demos, and I was in a studio at a building called Spence Manor. That's the building that has the famous guitar-shaped pool on Music Row. Yeah. There was a studio in there, and I was just singing demos. And then the guy who became my manager walked in and heard me sing, and he was like, let's work together. I think I can help you get a record deal.
Right place at the right time.
Right place at the right time.
Completely.
And so we just, kept working together and collecting songs. I would go around to different publishing houses on Music Row. People would just pitch me songs, and I collected about 4 songs that was age appropriate. It's a little hard.
It's a little, I imagine.
I was going down the rabbit hole actually the other day of like all the 90s country songs and 80s country songs that I loved. I'm like, man, they really did sing about cheating and drinking all the time. I didn't realize it back then because I just wasn't paying that much attention, I don't guess, to the lyrics so much.
Yeah,
but
some scandalous stuff in there.
And what's so funny is like I was allowed to listen to that, but my mom wouldn't let me listen to rock and roll music because that was the devil's music. But I could sing songs about cheating and drinking
Because there's an electric guitar on it. It changes things.
Yeah. Steel guitar was okay. So yeah, just one thing led to another. And then I recorded a demo, and Howard Fields was the guy who became my manager, and he shopped it around town. And eventually I got a record deal and signed it right out of high school. And here I am.
Here you are.
Wasn't that easy, but oh my God. I don't think an hour podcast is going to even skim the surface of all the stories I could tell.
So you signed a record deal at 17.
18. Mm-hmm. But I had it pretty much sealed by the time I was 16. They just wanted me to be
old enough
to sign my own contract.
to sing those scandalous songs.
Because that was back in the day. Like Leanne Rimes had signed to Curb, and there was some lawsuits happening, and it turned the labels off from wanting to sign minors anymore.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So they were like, go back and, finish high school. Because I was homeschooling during that time I was here singing demos. I was living in Spence Manor. I had an apartment there.
Holy cow.
And I know my mom and my dad, I cannot thank them enough. I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, but he worked so hard to support that dream, and Mom and I would just be gone for weeks at a time.
Well, and your mom's from the hills of Kentucky.
Yeah.
So navigating Nashville must have been really hard for her at that time, too.
Yeah. You should have seen us when we first got here. It was like a clown show because there was no, like I said, there was no GPS, and I'm sitting in the, passenger seat trying to navigate, I didn't know how to read a map, but I learned how to. That just doing it is the best way to learn,
Be a fly on the wall.
But we got lost so many times. Oh my gosh. Just, we're off, somewhere off of 40, somewhere off of 65, and we would just have to pull off and go to a gas station and try to find somebody that could
Because women ask
help
for
us.
Directions.
We do. Well, we just don't want to waste a bunch of time being lost.
It does make it a lot easier.
But yeah, she eventually learned her way around town really good. And we could just putt around and get just about anywhere.
And now you've been here 30 years.
But Nashville was a lot different back then too.
Yeah,
it wasn't
smaller.
It was a little big town. Like it was not
now it's
a metropolitan city that it's turning into now.
Yeah, now
we
it's
would have been like the Beverly Hillbillies rolling into Nashville. I mean, we already were, but it would have been times 10 nowadays.
You guys are hillbillies.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky.
Yeah, you can't fake this accent.
No.
I know.
I sometimes do, though. It's really hard to talk to you and not start talking in that accent, especially being around you and your mom. It's very, very hard. So when did you start writing songs? Since you were young?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was 7 years old when I first started writing.
Do you have that song still?
I used to remember some of it, but now, oh my gosh. I do remember it was a love song.
To Jesus, or were you in love with that 7?
No, and Mom was like, you better quit telling that story, because I always tell the story. I'm like, my mom used to watch soap operas.
Oh, okay.
And so Days of Our Lives was on. She'd be cleaning house because she was a housewife. While my brother and I were really little, she stayed home and raised us and kept the house and helped Ma with the garden. And, her mom and dad lived right next door to us.
Oh, nice.
So they were like my second parents. I grew up eating organic and didn't even realize it until I got out in the real world, and I was like, wait, how come this organic apple's twice as much as this other apple? Isn't an apple an apple? And it's not.
It's not. No,
it's not.
Even now, be careful with your organic apples.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill Gates, for that one. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. Yeah, you signed to a record label at 18. And then what, like 2 years later, you won a Grammy?
I won my first Grammy at 18, actually. So I was signed to a record label called Rising Tide. That was my first record deal. Mm-hmm. And that was under the umbrella of Universal Music Group, UMG. They were selected to do the soundtrack for the movie The Apostle. Okay. And Robert Duvall was in that movie, and he plays a Pentecostal preacher. And the soundtrack was just going to be a bunch of old church hymns.
Yeah.
And the president of the label walks in. I'm actually at the record label in their studio that particular day, and was kind of just working on pre-production for my own album, my first album in Nashville, which never came out, but that's another story. And he walks in and he just like hands me this sheet of paper, and it's got like 50 songs on it. And he goes, do you know any of these? And I was like, oh, I know all of them, because they were all church songs,
Grew up with them.
I grew up singing all of them. He was like, well, would you mind picking a couple and just laying it down real quick, because I already had my guitar there. And so I did. And I think we ended up putting like a little organ on it too. And it was Softly and Tenderly, Jesus is Calling. And I must have sang that hundreds of times at altar call at church, So
and
I
you
sang
won
that,
a Grammy.
and that was on the soundtrack, and that soundtrack won a Grammy. Yep.
That's so crazy. You have been like, your whole life is right place, right time. Well, and talent.
Well, not my whole life. I have had some really lucky moments, but I have had some really unlucky moments too. For instance, I was signed to Rising Tide, and I was on radio tour when I got the call that Rising Tide was shutting their doors, and my single wasn't going to come out, and the album wasn't going to come out. And I'm like, I bet y'all knew this before you put me on a plane and sent me here. Like, that's not fair.
For a little bit.
That's not right. But there were many ups and downs. That's just the nature of the music business, though.
Yeah, because people don't know, like, when you're on a label and they switch, all the other people that were on the previous label, they kind of get put on the back burner. Yeah. And then they bring in all these new people.
Well, you have some people that just lose their record deal altogether. And then you have some people that get moved over to another branch of that, Universal Music. So I got moved to Decca Records. Okay. There were a handful of us from Rising Tide that got moved over to Decca.
Rebecca on the Decca.
Yep. And then I swear, not 3 or 4 months later, Decca closed down. I'm like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just shutting down all the record labels. But it was just, I just got caught in the middle of corporate consolidation. Yeah. And that's all it was. No fault of my own. That was just being in the wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. Then I got moved to MCA, which was still under Universal Music Group. And I was reluctant. I'm not going to lie. I was reluctant. I was like, maybe I should just try to find another label deal. Yeah. This one feels like maybe it's cursed or something, Well,
and back then, was anybody even going independent at that time in the industry?
There were some independent labels, but And they were having success too. But I wanted to be on a major label, because they had the most money. They could push you harder. And
you have the voice for a major label.
that's the kind of, indie labels were more slightly Americana, maybe a bit more rootsy sound. And that just wasn't, I wanted to do like mainstream country. I wanted to have hits on the radio. So with great reluctancy, I went to MCA, and that ended up being a really great thing for me. So third time's a charm. Mark Wright was head of A&R, or he became head of A&R. Actually, Tony Brown was head of A&R when I first signed, but then Universal South opened up and Tony went to run Universal South. So Mark Wright became the head of A&R.
And for people that don't know what A&R is, they're like the middleman between the labels, right?
So they're the ones that really help the artists kind of get their albums together. They oversee the song selection and that sort of thing, like the creative direction of the artist.
And you can either get a really good one or a really bad one, is from what I've heard.
Yes, and I've had both. But Mark was always such a champion. I met Mark at Decca. So he was at Decca Records doing the thing and producing Leanne Womack and Gary Allen and having a lot of success as a producer. And Mark Chestnut. He was really burning the radio up. I mean, his productions were amazing. And I met him there. And so we started kind of working together at Decca. So when I went, he was the one that talked me into staying. He was like, come on, we're going to go to MCA. It's going to be great. So I followed him over there, and he was such a champion of mine. He always was such a cheerleader for me. And I am forever grateful for him. I always used to give him a hard time over his shoes and his glasses. And now here I am wearing crazy glasses myself. Sorry, Mark. I guess he rubbed off on me. But
maybe just a little.
Yeah, he was always just so supportive of my writing. And, because I that was the part of my career that took off first.
Yeah.
I signed to EMI Publishing when I first got to town. And I started getting cuts by like John Michael Montgomery and Jessica Andrews, Trisha Yearwood. And, I thought, man, I got this town licked. And I was so wrong. I just had some beginner's luck, I think. But it was really nice to have that part of my career, which is not why I moved to Nashville, but to have that be acknowledged as like, oh, I can write songs for other people.
Yeah.
And really I got bit by the songwriting bug so hard. I've always loved to write songs, but co-writing is one of my absolute favorite things to do.
I agree with you.
It is such wonderful therapy. I didn't realize that I've, been in therapy for 30 years and it was free.
Just dealing with other people's
and sharing.
Yeah.
Like you tell me your problems, I tell you my problems, and how our day's been going, how our week's been going. And just out of those conversations will come a song idea.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
A lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times that's how it happens,
It's true. Like for me, it's like, it's alchemy in a sense, because you're taking like the pain or the joy and you're creating something else out of it. And I don't think we realize as humans how much we do keep inside of us. And until you're like in a situation where you can be completely vulnerable with somebody.
Oh God, you have to be an open book. You cannot go with the intentions of keeping your walls up.
Yeah, no.
In a songwriting
you
session.
Have to do the good, the bad, the messy, everything.
Yeah. So, and there comes like you have to trust the person that you're writing with.
Yes.
And sometimes you've never met that person before.
Yes.
So it's like, how immediately vulnerable can you be? And so I've just always been an open book, just I always say I don't care what people think of me. That's not the right way to say that, because obviously, we care at some degree what people think of us. Tell the truth no matter how messy. And sometimes I feel like being messier than other times. Sometimes I don't care to be super raw. And honestly, those have been my most successful songs.
Yeah.
When I just pour my heart out. Because here's the thing, when we're going through any kind of hurt or any kind of like immense joy, all the things in between from one extreme to the other. There are millions of people in this world that are experiencing those same emotions, those same things, and they're going to relate.
Yeah.
Right. So when we really get to the nitty gritty of what it is we're trying to write about, and we hit those heart notes, people are going to relate to that because it's going to pierce something in their heart, and they're going to grab onto that song.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's crazy too. Sometimes I'm like, I write a song and you put it on a shelf for like a year or two, and then you re-listen to it and you're like, holy cow, I'm dealing with that like now. Like it comes back up and you're like, that wasn't even how I related to it in the past.
This new album of mine, there are so many songs on there that fits that description. I wrote them years and years and years ago, only now to be living what those songs are talking about.
Yeah.
So I was writing a lot from just experience and knowing how to craft a song. And once you've done it enough times, you can tap into that place in yourself, even though you've not been through it before.
Yeah.
You can imagine, you know, what it feels like to go through that and put yourself in that heart position, and then write what you think that feels like.
Yeah. It's like, in a sense, to me, it's almost like acting.
Yes.
Even it's like
It
taking
can
on
be.
this whole other character.
Yes.
And then it's also like when you're an empath, it also comes way more easy to put yourself in someone else's shoes and be like, and actually like
So true.
feel the pain, because you can hear in a vocal too when someone's singing a song and they don't connect with it. You know what I mean? Where you're
I
like,
have done that too. I have done that too.
There's something
Yeah.
missing here completely.
I have to believe what I'm singing or I cannot sell a song.
Yeah.
So back in the early days when I was, you know, on these major labels, it was way different than it is now. Like now I have full creative control. I get to sing what I want. Most of it is what I'm writing, but I've never been an artist that says I have to write every single song on the record. Even though I did this new record, I wrote every song, but I don't have to. I'm such a champion of a great song. I've gotten songwriters cuts in this town that I don't even know who the writers were, but I would just take the song and love it so much. And if the label wouldn't let me cut it, I would just pitch it. Like I was on tour with Kenny Rogers for years and years, and we had the same management for a long time. And
so amazing.
He was cutting hit records. You know, he's having like this whole resurgence of his career. And I was on Arista Records at the time. And I got pitched this song and I loved it so much. And I was like, oh, this is a hit song. I want to cut this. Like, you know, I could really see myself wrapping my voice around it, you know, and selling it because I really believed in the song. And the label was like, no, we don't think this is for you. We don't know if this is a hit. I'm like, this is a hit. I promise you it's a hit. So they wouldn't let me cut it. And so I took it to Kenny and I said, if you want a hit song, I got one. I don't even know who wrote it to this day. I would have to look it up and tell you. So there's no agenda. I just love a great song, and I want a great song to be heard.
Yeah.
And so the song was I Can't Unlove You. And that was the top 5 for him. I don't know. I think it went maybe number 4 or something like it. It's almost a number 1 record.
That's so crazy.
I know. But at least he got to have a hit with it. And those songwriters, you know, got to have a hit. And
what was it like working with Kenny Rogers?
That was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Because you did the Christmas tours for how many years?
Well, so Kenny and I toured. We did a bunch of Christmas tours together. I actually opened up his entire Canadian tour back in the early 2000s. It was him and Diamond Rio
and
me. Yeah, so I got to see all of Canada. I've been everywhere in Canada. All the far bits up north, every single big city in Canada. Canada's amazing. I think that's one of the most beautiful countries.
So we're going to Canada.
If we're going to Canada. Yep. But he was a class act. My husband and I actually went on some tours with him together, and you know, he was just always so generous with his advice, and he actually gave me one of my favorite pieces of advice. He said, Rebecca, you're a great vocalist, but a great singer can only work as long as their vocals hold out. And when you can't sing anymore, then you can't work anymore. He said, but a great entertainer can work until they die. And he was the best entertainer. And so I would go out during his show and stand like, you know, in the back of the auditoriums and just listen to him. And it wasn't so much, I mean, because he had hit after hit after hit. That's easy, right? When you have so many hit records.
Yeah.
But the bits in between the hits, the bits and the hits, right?
The bits and the hits.
The bits have to be as entertaining as the hits. And he had the best stories, and the way that he would tell them, just, they were so interesting, and it just captivated you. And I was like, okay, I've got some work to do here, you know, because I would introduce the song and tell who I wrote it with and then sing the song. I'm like, the audience wants to hear a story.
Yeah.
They want to hear a story. And so I was just getting started, you know, in the business. I'm not going to pretend like I came here and I just knew how to do everything, because I didn't.
Well, and if you're not getting better, like, what's the
And
point
you
of
can
all
only
this?
get better by surrounding yourself with people who are better than you.
Yeah, you told me that piece of advice. Only write with people who are better writers than you.
Yeah.
And I have
Otherwise, you're
stood
never
behind
going
that.
to, your level's never going to come up.
Yeah, and
You
you're
know?
going to be really frustrated after 6 hours of trying to write a song
Yeah.
with someone and getting nothing.
And speaking of co-writing, you are one of my favorite people to co-write with.
You are one of my favorite people to co-write
Yeah.
with. I think that you're one of like my musical soulmates in a sense. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird because, I mean, we've known each other for years, but I feel like we kind of instantly connected,
Yes,
you know?
completely. I mean, I think I'm wearing this first pair of overalls that we bought together.
Well, so we didn't start
no,
writing together. That's not how we met.
No, so I had signed to a label of sorts, and they had reached out to you to help me with my styling for my first photo shoot.
That's right.
Which back then I knew nothing about what
Yeah.
style was, and you can attest to that. I think I still had my like side part, and you fixed that for me, and my eyebrows.
As I'm sitting here with a side part.
Well, you reverted back, and it looks great.
Thank you.
But I always was like, my face is too fat. Rebecca, how do I fix this? You're like, just right there. Anyways, yeah, you literally, started as a stylist for me. And to be honest, like, I hadn't done my research on you. I've known you from growing up and listening to country music.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time in my life, I think I had surrounded myself with pop and rap music.
Yeah.
At the time. And
You missed my era.
I did miss your era. Yeah, I'll admit I was,
That's
5 or
okay.
6 when.
That's okay. I
when
forgive you.
Oh, forgive.
But it's one of the funnest transitions I've made in my career. You know, the music business has just changed so much. And I was coming off of a world tour with Steven.
Yeah.
And, you know, like trying to get the songs together for my new record. And I'm not ADD, but I do like to be diversified. And I think I have a lot of like creative talents.
You do.
I love to bake cakes and decorate them, and I love to paint.
It's in your
and I love to
genetics.
do makeup, and I love to do hair, and I love to put crazy funky outfits together. I love to decorate. And so that just gave me kind of an outlet to do all the things that I love to do and kind of not get bored with anything.
Yeah, and you're also mentoring. Like, that's like you've literally like, I don't know. You're like a mother to me in a sense because of all the advice.
I call you my sister daughter.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry. Trying not to. So.
Don't get teary-eyed.
It's gross. But no, like, I mean, it's been a very special relationship, and I appreciate you for that.
Yeah. Well, we met like right before COVID hit.
Oh, yeah. So
And so we went through COVID
2019,
together.
Yes.
You were living on my side of town.
Yeah. I mean, I was living up the street from you.
Yeah,
So
literally
it was very
just right
convenient.
Yeah. And so, you know, that was a very traumatic time.
Yeah. And I was also going through a transition of leaving a very toxic situation with my music. And I was very blessed to find you and your husband to kind of help me figure out what I wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
Because I was being pushed in one direction for so long. And I think that the space that you have provided from producing, writing, all the things we do together is just the openness to be myself. So I appreciate that solely.
Yeah.
But like your mentoring isn't just me. Like you've mentored tons of other girls as well through all of this. And
Yeah.
I think that really shows, because I'm always like, what the fuck? She has one of the best voices in the world. Like if you haven't listened to her voice, please go do yourself a favor and listen to it. But she's one of the most humblest people in the world. Like it's just like going to your cousin's house, your aunt's house, your sister's house. Like it's family completely. So
I just know how it feels to move to town by yourself. You don't know anybody. You don't know how to get the right things happening in your career.
because it's about who you know.
It really is. And if I can do anything to help you younger girls sort of avoid all of those mishaps along the way, then I'm just determined to do that. And, you know, they always say you can't learn from other people's mistakes, but I think you can. I think you can,
Yeah.
you know, if you're open and if you're willing to listen and take advice. I wasn't always the greatest advice taker, you know, when I was younger. My mom always gave me great advice and I would do just the opposite, you know, because I would say, I can do it by myself. I can figure this out myself. I was just always so independent, almost to a fault, you know, and still am like very independent. And it's only been in the past couple of years that I've really had to sort of lay that part of myself down a little bit because, you know, I haven't been able to do certain things for myself. And
Do we want to talk about being Lyme sisters as well?
well, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I think with Lyme, it's very like hard to not make it your identity.
Yeah.
And so it's just something you're battling, not that you will conquer. It's not a part of who you are.
I 100% believe that that this is for now. It's not forever.
Yes, 100%.
You know, chronic illness is a very humbling thing to walk through. And especially when you're like me and you do everything for yourself and
other people.
And it's really out of choice. It's not, I have a very supportive husband and, you know, not to say that we don't share equal responsibilities because we do.
But you are a caretaker.
But I've had to lean on him.
Yeah.
And I've had to lean on my mom and my friends way more in the past 2 years than I ever have in my life.
Yeah.
And so that's been humbling, and it's just been a growing process for me to kind of say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say no.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Well, I think too is like the hardest part for what I've just seen over the past couple of years is just the like unknowing of what the fuck's going on with your body.
Yeah.
And trying to figure it out and piece it all together. And then also have one of the biggest albums, you know, you haven't done an album in 15 years, that going on. And then, I mean, the shows you have to play. You were on tour with Lee Brice for a little bit, opening for him. And then
for like over the past 2 years.
And you just got a freaking song with Trisha Yearwood and you had to go on Good Morning America at like 4 a.m. Like these are like hard things to do when you have a chronic illness at the moment. So
yeah. And there are certain things I get anxious about because I don't know that I can always depend on how I'm going to wake up feeling, you know, on any given day. But it's a lot better now than it was obviously 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago was the darkest moments of my life. You know, I spent months in the bed, months of my life just laying there. And I didn't know if I was ever going to get better.
You didn't know what was going on either.
I had no idea what was going on in my body. You know, I just knew that there was a war going on inside me. And it was really hard to describe it too, because it's like, oh, I have this weird feeling in my head. And I literally can't put one foot in front of the other because I'm so fatigued, just complete exhaustion, like your life force has been unplugged, you know? But I don't think it was it probably was primarily Lyme, but I feel like there were other sort of cofactors that were going along with being sick that was making me sicker.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I lost my dad, and that was the most emotionally traumatic thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I've been through some trauma in my life. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think I just was not ready in any capacity to handle that.
And it happens really fast.
Yeah, it
and
happened
out of-
really fast, and just the whole way it went down. And like it was the height of COVID, so no hospitals would let you in
It's just so
to
evil.
see. Yeah, it was really just the darkest time of my life. And then trying to make sure, like once he passed, it was just unreal. Just trying to figure out how to deal with everything, how to deal with like getting the estate settled and make sure my mom was okay and getting the farm sold. And
Yeah.
like that was my childhood home, you know, packing everything up, loading it in a truck, driving a 26-foot U-Haul from the hills of Kentucky to Nashville by myself.
Yeah.
It was just a lot, you know. But through all of that, I felt like Superwoman. It was like my body went into this like overdrive where I got through it. But once I got through all of it, I crashed. I got sick and I just never got better.
Yeah.
But I've been so blessed to find these amazing practitioners who have helped me like get back on my feet and become a functioning human being again, you know?
And you're doing all alternative medicine.
Yes. All forms of holistic healing. I didn't start that way.
Yeah.
I went to the hospitals. I went to specialists. I seeked out, you know, allopathic treatments only to be gaslit and told that there was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
And are you stressed out? Well, of course I'm stressed out, but this isn't in my head. You know, I'm a very bright individual. I know when something is actually physically wrong in my body, and something was wrong in my body and I just couldn't get any answers.
Yeah.
And so I was very lucky to come across some wonderful practitioners who just helped me along this healing journey. And it was slow because I was in such a sensitive place physically that I couldn't really handle a lot of treatment.
Yeah.
So I had to go at it very, very slow.
Yeah.
in the
You're
beginning.
extremely sensitive to any kind of chemicals.
Yeah.
And the Lyme just like intensifies that. times
It really
1,000.
does. Yeah. It just makes everything worse.
Yeah.
So as a result, I thought I was living a super clean life because I was eating organic and I was exercising, and I thought that I was taking good care of myself. But since I lost my dad and since I went through all of that emotional trauma, you know, we go down these rabbit holes and we figure out that there is more than just your physical body to your health. You know, the emotional side of your body plays just as much a part as your diet, your lifestyle, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping your nervous system regulated, making sure that you're taking time for yourself, that you're finding some peace in your life. You know, it's the world is so crazy right now, and it's like pulsing at such a radical frequency. You know, you just everybody's walking around just like this all the time. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have enough hours in the day to get done everything we need to get done.
Well, now we just lost like a minute or something because the world's moving faster. So great.
So I do feel very lucky that I've at least gained more knowledge and know how to take care of myself better.
Well, and I too think too a lot of like times with Lyme in particular, there's a lot of different symptoms.
Yeah.
And like mine personally has been more mental, where it's the negative thoughts, the OCD, the feeling of the world's collapsing around me. And yours have been your body literally just attacking yourself.
Yeah.
So I really think that with the different symptoms, it's really hard for people to be like, this is what I have.
Yeah. The symptoms, it's very hard to diagnose because the symptoms sort of line up with a lot of different autoimmune conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, I must have this autoimmune condition and this autoimmune disease and this. I would just say before I found out, that I was dealing with an actual diagnosis of a tick-borne
Maybe.
infection, maybe. I would just say that I had autoimmune symptoms because for the longest time I had no diagnosis. I really didn't know what was wrong with me. But what it did for me is it just completely dysregulated my nervous system. And so when your nervous system is not functioning at its optimal, it throws everything off. Your hormone production is thrown off, your mood's thrown off, your ability to cope with stress.
How do you react to even just the littlest of stimulus?
I mean, I'm a pretty chilled out person. I don't really get worked up about much. But I've noticed that like my stressors, I don't deal with stress as well as I used to, because till your nervous system gets regulated, you can't. You just physically can't. And so, and it's been hard. And another thing that's been really difficult is walking through all of this and pretending everything's okay on social media.
Well, pretending everything's okay on social media and on stage. Like, that has to be. Because
I was in the middle of making a record and I didn't want, that stigma associated with this new music, And so it's only now that I'm kind of like getting on the other side of it and I'm healing and I'm able to talk about it without bursting into tears, that I'm comfortable to talk about it now. And just
well, and you might like help somebody else who has it and they don't know. There's so many people out there with similar symptoms that you've had. And
I have to believe that I've gone through this for a reason. I just refuse to believe that this is something that just happened and that, it'll be a chapter in my life that will, soon will pass and then it'll be like it never happened. I don't think that that's what we're here for. I think that we go through things to get through them. We go through the process because we're going to encounter people that are going to need our help. And we can say, look, I've been through this. I know exactly what you're feeling on the inside.
And you're not alone.
I know that you feel like you have a jackhammer in your chest and you're going like this when no one else can see any outward signs that you're sick. That's what's so hard about chronic illness is it's invisible.
Well, and I don't think our society is structured for people to even survive with chronic illness. And I mean, we're going. And I think a lot of times in order to heal, you have to stop for a second and like pause.
I think that's why your body shuts down too. It just makes you. It goes, okay, you're not going to do it on your own. So I'm going to do it for you. Now you can't get out of bed for 3 months.
It's like,
congratulations.
You've made it to the final round.
All that rest you've been saying that you wanted.
Here you go. Oh, yeah. God,
but I mean, we talk about that all the time, how the body, it's a crazy machine and it knows the body will survive. It'll do whatever it can do to survive.
We're so I studied the body and for the past 9 months, I've been studying the body and we are an amazing, perfectly designed system. If we can just allow the system to do its job.
That's right.
And that's hard with the toxins and everything and just work and stress and being a freaking human is hard.
It is hard.
And life happens.
And I feel like we're disconnected from nature. I grew up with my shoes off, walking on the ground, getting stung by honeybees my whole life, and I don't get on the ground as often, but what's crazy? When I go to the beach and I put my feet on the sand and I get in the ocean, all of my symptoms go away.
It's amazing. It's that frequency of the waves.
Every single symptom I have goes away. So, I feel 100% normal when I'm on the beach.
So shout out to her husband, Alicia. We're buying a beach house.
I know. I need to buy a beach house. That's I need to move to the beach.
Yeah.
But And, my practitioner even, she told me, she was like, if you can work it into your schedule,
Go to the
get
beach.
to the beach as often as you can, because there's something about the negative ions that is created with massive bodies of water. You can even get similar effects on lake bodies of water, but being on the ground and in the ocean at the same time, it just charges you up. It's the whole grounding thing. And so I'm not as good at it as I should be, but I try to get up, and first thing I do in the morning is I go walk on the grass for about 5 minutes and try to get the first light of the day. That red light, get some good sunshine in my eyeballs. And if I do the things I know to do, then I will have a better day that day. If I wake up too late, I didn't get enough sleep, and I don't have time to take care of myself in the morning the way that I know I should, I don't have as good of a day.
Oh, yeah. It's consistency with all of it.
Yeah.
Especially supplements, anything. It's just you have to keep doing it.
When you have medical teams that are telling you there's nothing wrong with you, and you feel like you're dying on the inside.
Yeah.
You just have to become your own advocate, your own health advocate, and you have to start doing your own research, and you have to just start taking matters into your own hands, really. And it's unfortunate that the system is kind of set up that way. And I'm not knocking allopathic medicine. I think it's, they keep people alive. They put people's arms back on.
Purpose, for sure.
Yeah, there's
but when
there's good and bad actually in both sides. Yeah, but I think it'd be awesome if Eastern and Western medicine could join a bit more cohesively.
I think it would be awesome if
the
Western
system.
medicine could treat their patients like human beings.
Well,
and not gaslight them.
There are good doctors, and then there are not good doctors. It's just like with every other business. You're going to have good ones and not so good ones. So it's just hard. It's hard to find the really good ones who want to dig and figure out what the root of the problem is, and not just get a prescription pad out and try to medicate your symptoms.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't even take an ibuprofen. I can't, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to be able to take handfuls of chemical pills every day.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to function that way.
And no body is one size fits all when it comes to health.
That's exactly right. Some people can do that.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. So allopathic medicine is great for people like that. But for people like me who are incredibly sensitive, I'm so sensitive, I can't even color my hair anymore.
Yeah.
All of my beauty products are non-toxic. Everything I put in my body is non-toxic. So I'm really trying to go overboard with keeping the toxic load that I inflict on myself at a super low level, because I know I'm getting hit. Just being alive in this world, we're getting hit with toxins everywhere
that we don't even know about.
Yeah. So the more I can help myself, the better. That's just how I look at it,
100%. Literally, I do the same thing. I try to keep it as clean as possible. I'm not as good as you are, though. You've definitely perfected it a bit.
I don't think I've perfected it, but I just keep digging. And, when you really don't feel normal and you don't feel 100%.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just speaking from my own experience. There is not many limits I wouldn't go to feel better.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a pretty open person, and I, like I said, I've surrounded myself with really great practitioners that I trust. And so, and I feel like they know my body now. We've been working together for 2 years. And if they tell me, okay, you can take this safely, and then I feel comfortable, like I can do it. So listen, healing is not a linear process, and it'd be so awesome if it was.
Right.
Because I'd be better by now.
We'd be having a different conversation.
We'd be not even talking about this. But healing is so much more than just healing your physical body, like we've talked about. It's the emotional part. And I've only gotten just now, after 2 years of dealing with my physical symptoms, I've just now started to deal with the emotional aspect of everything. because I've been so weak in my body. I just didn't feel like I was strong enough to deal with those, like stir those emotions back up again, because they wiped me out for days, you know. Losing my dad was literally the hardest thing I have ever gone through in my life. I told my husband, you know, not many days after it happened, I, you know, came home and I was laying there and I was just crying so hard. I did not know that people could cry from that depth of themselves. And I told him, I said, I will never be the same after this. You know, I am not the same person who left and went to my mom when my dad was sick. Like, I came back a different person. I'll never be that happy-go-lucky girl again.
Yeah.
I believed that. I really did, because I was just, the grief was so big. It was so big. And it was overwhelming, you know. And when we love to the capacity that I feel like I'm able to love, because I really do love people deeply, then you grieve deeply, because the love that you can't give anymore hurts.
Yeah.
You know that song, Love Hurts? It really does. When you can't give it anymore, it's just like bottled up, and you feel like your heart's going to explode.
Yeah, I think there's a line, it's grief is only love with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And it really is.
Yep, that's what it is. So, you know, my dad was, you know, he's one of my people. I talked to him every single day. And that was just it was a big loss. My dad was a great big personality. He was jolly. He was so much fun to be around. He's always cracking jokes and, you know, just trying to be.
He was a good old boy.
He was great. And he was a hunter. He loved to fish. He just, you know, he loved life. He really had a great life. I was talking about how, you know, I was seeking emotional help after all this. And I got into EMDR therapy. And that really made such
And can you explain
a big difference.
Little bit of what that is exactly?
So there are a few different techniques that they can use, but I think it started out where your eyes like follow this light and you're sort of talking through the events and the trauma and all of the things. And it's very, it's emotionally draining. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I was wiped out. The first time I was wiped out for a week. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I didn't do the following the light. They've got techniques where they could put these little buzzers in your hands, and it's supposed to stimulate like both sides of the brain as you're talking through and processing the trauma. And it helps your body actually process it, because what happens is when we go through something so emotionally tragic, it gets like the emotion gets locked. Those memories get locked in our body, and we start having symptoms, like outward symptoms, physical symptoms of these emotional traumas, right? We're meant to, like if you see an animal in the wild, like if a zebra gets chased by a lion or whatever, and they make it out alive, you know, you'll watch them and they just shake and like convulse after it's over, because it's their bodies are processing that trauma, and it gets it out, and then it goes back to grazing and drinking water, and it's fine. We don't do that.
No, like even with dogs, like I watch my dog get in a bad mood, and then she just shakes it off, you know, and
literally they shake it off. Yes.
And we need to shake off a little bit more, maybe.
I was just trying to be strong, but I did it to my own detriment. You know, but I'm learning. Yeah. And it's crazy what just talking through things and sort of looking at it from a different perspective. And oh my gosh, like the third or fourth session, I was recanting the event again, you know, as you do, you just kind of like bring it back up and you're talking through it again. And I saw myself from a completely different perspective. Always before, I would see the memory and I was looking through my own eyes, right, at all the things in the hospital and looking at my dad and just a memory that you don't want, you know. And then I got to a place where I was outside of myself, and I was in a different part of the room, and I was looking at myself, and I was looking at everything else. And I saw myself as a little girl, not as the 44-year-old. And so that was very eye-opening for me. I'm like, okay,
That's the part of
that's the
yourself.
part of me that is struggling,
Yeah.
that needs attention.
She wanted her daddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so honestly, after that session, I've gotten so much more stable emotionally. It's crazy. Like, I can talk about it now without losing it. I mean, I couldn't have had this conversation 2 months ago. There's no way.
Yeah, no. My eyes are welling up, but yours are, it's honestly, I've noticed the shift in you as a person, and
Yeah.
you seem just way more accepting of what the situation was.
Yeah. I think that's the part I was after. I was seeking after making it all make sense, and it doesn't have to.
No.
It doesn't
No.
have to. And I was looking at when is the day going to come when the grief gets smaller, and it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
So my therapist, she's amazing. She sent me this thing, and she was like, look, you have to build your life around the grief. Your life has to get bigger around it. You can't try to shrink the grief. You're going to kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be on a mission that you're never going to complete.
Well, because you're stay sick.
That's right. And when I had that revelation, I was like, okay. And it's just the way my brain works. I'm very analytical. So when you tell me, okay, this is what it is, and it makes sense to me logically,
Yeah.
then I can go, okay, I can wrap my brain around this. I can do this. I don't have to shrink the grief, because I think in a sense I felt guilty for doing that, for wanting to do that,
Yeah.
because I felt like if I shrink the grief, then that means my dad didn't mean as much to me,
Yeah.
and I can't ever have that, because that would be a lie, and I can't live like that. But I can say, okay, the grief's not getting any smaller, and I can accept that, and then I can start to build my life around that.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And that feels empowering, and that feels good. And that feels like something that I think my dad wants for me.
Yeah. I don't think he wants you in pain.
That's right.
Yeah.
Of course he doesn't.
He wants you to be free and happy.
Of course he does. I can hear him right now. You're going to have to toughen up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was always that, like, trying to make his little girl tough. And I didn't realize how much I leaned on him for strength.
Yeah.
And, when they're not there anymore, it's like, it's scary. But I feel him with me more now than I did like when he first passed away, because I feel like coming to this acceptance of it's okay.
Yeah.
He's not gone.
Yeah.
He's still here. I just can't see him.
Well, I think we get blinded in the early stages of grief, thinking it's like a permanent disconnection when we were never really disconnected in the first place.
Yeah. That's right.
And we're energy, and I think that he's up in heaven, and
he's 100% up in heaven. I mean, I've seen him there,
and he's just chilling. And
yeah. So I've had several visitations from my dad, and I think he did that early on. Like when he first passed, it was like every few weeks I would dream about him, but I'm telling you, like, I was there with him.
Yeah.
Because I would wake up so joyful and so just like okay for a few days, and then when I wouldn't see him again, then the grief would come back. But I just feel him, and I know he's there, and I know he's up there like wheeling and dealing and making things happen for me down here, because my dad wanted nothing more than for me to succeed in life. And he would not want me sick, and he would not want me grieving all the time. And so I feel like this is a way that I can finally honor him now instead of grieving him. So it's all a process, and it's not perfect every day, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. It's time, man. It doesn't heal everything. I think it just allows us to have more time.
It just gives us more time to get a little stronger to carry the burdens that were too heavy when they first got laid on us.
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym. Nobody's going to put a 20-pound weight and go, now do some bicep curls. You're going to start with 5 pounds, you know? And if you have 20 pounds that you've got to carry in the first bit, it's going to take you a minute before you can lift that 20 pounds. And I think that's what time does for us. It just gives us some conditioning, you know, because the load never gets lighter. We just get stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more able to carry it. But my faith in God and just knowing that he's in a better place, that's what gets me through part of my healing journey.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
It
And
is.
I know he's like up there riding side by sides and hunting and fishing and
going on
doing
his
all the
walk.
things that he loves to do. So he's like,
singing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that he's going, let it go and do what you need to do,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm still here. I know he's still here. He can be wherever he wants to be.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful.
Looking at your watery eyes, man.
I don't know if it's the light, the conversation, or allergies. I know you would not sit on a couch with a therapist and do talk therapy for.
I tried.
You did?
I did. I tried that. I got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking therapy. I know it works for some people.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was sitting with a talk therapist, it was just like, all I could think about was, I need to be in a songwriting room. I would get so much more out of this. You know, it's going to take you 20 years to get to know me.
Yeah.
To get to the root of this. Like, I don't have time to go back 20 years ago. Like, I need help now. And EMDR really gave that to me. And it didn't take that many sessions either. And she was an amazing therapist, is an amazing therapist. And I'm a very big believer in it. There's so many wonderful healing modalities in this world.
Well, and it, like, every single one is so, like, that's where I say, like, one size does not fit all. Like, someone, like we say, might go to talk therapy and get a lot out of it. Someone might go and do inner child work and get way more
That's
out
right.
of it.
You just kind of have to hop around
Yeah.
and see what works for you, because we're all wired differently. We all have different personalities. You know, we're
Different
just made,
traumas.
Yeah, we're made different. And and we process things different. So you just have to just kind of go crapshoot for a while and just see what you gravitate toward and what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I'll try anything once or twice just to see, but that was almost immediate.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, I would definitely recommend that for anybody who's gone through emotional trauma and can't seem to move beyond it. Of like dipping my toes into starting to talk about this part of my life.
Because you wanted to be in a good place.
I couldn't talk about it when I was so entrenched in the middle of it, because I didn't believe myself that I was ever going to be any different, you know? So I wanted to come at this from a place of hope rather than I'm dying.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to hear that. I don't want to hear that. So, but like I said, I know that I have to walk through this process, and it's okay, because I trust God and I know I've been through the darkest times.
Yeah.
And I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I didn't die.
They're just growing pains.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable. Being in a transition part of your life is not a comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
But we, you know, throughout our lives, we're going to go through several of those transitions.
Yeah.
And we just got to be ready and just open. And the last thing I'm ever going to do is resent God or be angry that I've gone through something like this, because that's not helpful.
No, and it really, like, truly, I believe some of the darkest moments in our lives bring us to the place where we're supposed to be.
Well, think about this. When you look at a picture of a landscape and there's like beautiful mountains and like all this valley land, where's the most beauty? I mean, the mountains are majestic, but where does everything grow? In the valley.
Yeah.
Nothing grows on the mountaintops.
Yeah.
It's rocky. It's snow covered. You know, it's hard to get there.
Yeah.
But in the valley, when you're on the mountaintop, you look down and all the beautiful flowers and the lush green grass, like that's where everything's growing.
Yeah.
So in those valleys in our lives, that's where we grow. And it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable, but we have to go through those places and just know that you're not going through it alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel it's a lonely place. Chronic illness is a lonely journey because you feel like you're the only one who knows truly the way that you feel.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody could have ever felt this bad and
Yeah.
still be alive, you know? But you just keep walking. You
Yeah.
just keep going. Keep going. Eventually, you're going to get to the mountain, and eventually you're going to get to start to climb up it, you know? And it's slow because it's hard to climb up it. But once you get to the top, and then you can look back down and you're like, that's what I looked like
Yeah.
in that mess. I thought it was tragic and I thought it was the worst time in my life, but it was the most beautiful time in my life because it shapes you into the person that you're meant to be.
I think that's a song, by the way. Can we make
It's
that?
probably been written a
I was
million
like,
times.
can we make that into a song? I think that's yeah, that's beautiful. I've never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take that with me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But that's how we can help each other.
Yeah.
You know, you're much younger than me.
Well,
And I hope to God that you never have to, you know, suffer anymore in your life. But nobody can promise us that,
No.
you know. If we live long enough and we're blessed to live long enough, you're going to go through some things.
Yeah, and I think it's just part of the journey. And
It is.
I think too, it's like the lessons that you were supposed to learn in life and to build your soul up in a sense. And
Yeah.
it's like the hardest part is to not be angry with the cards that you were dealt and to just accept the fact that.
For me, I think that was the easiest part for me because I've just never been a resentful person. Just my personality isn't like that. And I've always had such a strong faith in God. And I just believe that, you know, there's this scripture, I don't know exactly where it is in the Bible, but it says, you know, that he's working all things out for your good.
Yeah.
All things, good and bad, all things, right? So even the bad things, we look back and we go, oh, okay, I see why I had to go through that.
It's sometimes
know?
just hard in the moment.
Oh
when
God,
you're
in the
like,
moment, you're just like, I'm
Why the
dying and
heck?
where are you? You know, I've had those moments where I'm like, can you even hear me right now? Where are you?
And he can. He's just
100%. He never left me even in the darkest moments. And I know that now I can look back and see it
Yeah.
because it was so bleak and horrible. But I know that God was there with me the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's been such, you talk about the lessons that you learn when you're in those times. I have so much more compassion for people who are sick and going through something. And I feel like I've learned a lot more, you know? So when, like, if my husband wakes up and he's like, I'm not feeling good, I'm like, what kind of not feeling good? Is it like
Can we get the chat GPT
I
out?
bet I've got a supplement for that.
I think
So-
you were like that before, though.
But even way more now. Even way more now. I just want to make
Yeah.
people feel better.
Yeah.
But I think that's been my whole mission, even with music. That's been my heart. Like, that's at the core of my heart, is to help people.
Yeah. And you don't write songs that don't mean it. That you won't write a song unless it means something.
I feel like, especially now,
Yeah.
I want to write songs that mean something. And listen, that's not to say that I won't write a toe tapper, because those have their place too. We have to have joy. We have to have those moments where we can tap our toes and dance and feel good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also need songs that say, look, I've been through this.
Yeah.
I know what you're going through.
I know.
Because
I
when
need
we're
'em.
brokenhearted, we gravitate toward that. Like, we want to cry. We
Yeah.
want to cry, and
I
we
know.
want to, revel in the fact that someone else has actually walked through that same path.
Yeah. You want to feel seen
That's exactly right.
because it can be very lonely.
Yep. But we're all in this together,
We are.
and we're here for one another. And that's how we get through life.
Mhm.
We have to be there for each other.
Yeah. Community is one of the biggest things, I think, in all forms of healing.
Yep.
And it's very hard to find sometimes.
Yeah.
But
But you got to find your tribe.
it's true.
You have to find your people,
Mhm.
and And you're one of my people.
You're one of my people. And I really do. I love you so much. And I'm so grateful that you get to be my first guest.
I'm so proud of you too. I mean, you know, I've been working with you for so many years, and to see you blossoming into this beautiful young woman and confident, and you are a woman.
My balls dropped. Sorry.
You're a woman now.
I am.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you. This is going to be a fun part of your journey.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you too.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching Bekx and the White Rabbit. If you'd like to follow along, please like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll keep you notified when more content comes out. Thank you guys for watching.
Trying to make sense of all the